Okay, today's going to be probably one of the more important things that we talk about. So, Daily Trader TV, episode 12, 31st of January 2018. What is money? And don't forget, I'm not qualified to give you individual advice, and you need to be really careful about leverage if you're going to spread bet. So, what is money, and why is this important to trading? I mean, it's also important to life, but why is it important to trading? The first thing is that there are two parts to money that were never taught about. So the first thing is, what is money? Why do we have it? What specific problem does money solve? So money has effectively three functions, but for me, the main function that it has is it solves the problem of the double coincidence of wants. So I had a quick look around to see if there were any videos I could show you, but I'll give you an overview of the double coincidence of wants. Imagine you're a baker and you bake some bread, and you take your bread to the butcher and you want some sausages. Now, your intention is to pay the butcher for the sausages with bread. But today, the butcher doesn't need bread. So you need some intermediary step to be able to exchange value for value. So the double coincidence of wants is that whatever it is you're willing to exchange, the other person needs at the same time. If he doesn't need it at the same time, there can't be an exchange. And money as the technology gets around that issue. So let's just have a quick look at this video.
Grant here. So I'd like to talk to you today about the various functions of money. Functions of money. Now, money, of course, is something that we all use every day, and we kind of have a general feel for what it is, but it's interesting to step back and actually contemplate, what is money? What gives it its value? What is it that we use it for? Why is it that you can use some things for money throughout history? You know, people have used not just gold and silver, but things like salt or cigarettes as money, and why other things can't be used. And economists generally divide the functions of money, the things that it does for us, into three different categories. And sometimes people will add a fourth in there. I won't get to that in this video, I'll talk about it in a different one. But there's kind of three main ones that people usually talk about. So if you were an economist just kind of philosophizing about what the functions of money are, you might start by thinking, well, what does the world look like without money? Like, for example, let's say that you were a lawyer, and you provide legal counsel to people, and this is the service that you provide, and this is the way that you add value to the economy. And let's say it's the case that you're refurnishing and you want a chair, right? You want to go out to the world and you want to buy a chair. Well, what that would require is that you find someone who happens to produce chairs. You find some person out there, and his way of adding value to society is to produce chairs. And this is what he does, and he is specialized at it, and he's very good. Now, the issue here, because money doesn't exist, you basically have to trade with him. You have to barter in some way. And this is what's called a barter economy. And in order to do that, given that you've specialized in law as the thing that you provide and add value with, you kind of have to hope that he wants legal services, that he happens to be in a situation where he wants the thing that you provide, which in this case is legal services. And if that was true, if you had that good fortune, then you would be able to trade some legal services over to him, and he would trade you some number of chairs, and all would be well. But of course, this feels kind of rare, especially given how specialized you are. And this idea where you want something and he wants something and those line up with each other actually has a name. This is called the double coincidence of wants. Double coincidence. And it's worth writing down because people will kind of reference this when we're talking about barter economies of wants. And by barter economy, I just mean, this kind of setup, but scaled up to the scale of society where everybody's trading based on their specialty and what someone else needs. And of course, in a world of money, this seems absurd, because in reality what you do is you would be over here, and sure, you would provide your legal services, you would kind of provide legal services to someone as your way of adding value, but it would be to just anyone who wants it, not based on what they produce. And in response, in exchange for that, they give you cash. They just give you, money, something you can then use that everybody accepts for whatever it is that you want. So in this case, if you want a chair, then you bring it over to the guy who produces chairs, and that's what he gives you, a chair. And insofar as money serves this function, where it is kind of the universal thing to trade, it's called a medium of exchange.
So you get the basic idea. So the main thing that money solves, it's a technology that solves the problem of the double coincidence of wants. Now, the other thing that you need to wrap your head around, it's something else that isn't taught, is you need to respect the problem that money solves, but you need to be indifferent to it. Now, why does that matter? Well, let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example from trading, but it applies to life as well. So when you're trading, markets fluctuate, markets go up and they go down. In fact, they only really do, let's have a look at a chart. Markets only really do three things. They go up, they go down, or they go sideways. It's the only three things they do. They trend up, they trend down, or they trend sideways. So if we go back to our little model portfolio, you can see that we've hit a high of £108,781. But right now, because the markets are pulling in, it's at 105,605. And if you can't stay on a big trend, you're never going to make any money. So if we zoom in, even though this was in an uptrend, if we zoom in, if every time, so you see the market trends up, then it trends back in, then it trends sideways, then it trends up, then it trends sideways. If every time it trades down or trades sideways you sell, you're going to miss this big move. And the reason most people don't win at trading and aren't profitable is that they can't sit through this normal price action because they don't understand what money is. They impute onto money. So when I say be indifferent to it, respect what it is. So you understand its function, it solves a problem, but be indifferent to it. This number to me is just like the high on the leaderboard of Space Invaders. I don't impute onto that number. Right now, there are people looking at that number and thinking, I could buy, I could put a deposit down on a house, I could buy whatever with it. They're working out the difference between these two numbers. And they're saying, right, it's £3,100 down, that's 2 months' rent. They're imputing onto these numbers, and these numbers don't mean anything. Money has a function, but you need to be indifferent to it. Don't impute onto it. Because in trading, 9 times out of 10, this number here will be bigger than this number here. So it's always going to feel like you're losing money. So let me give you an example. Let's say the market corrects by 10% and this number goes below this number. Most people are going to freak out. I don't care. And the reason I don't care is because I understand my positive expectancy. I understand what I'm doing, when to buy, when to sell, what should happen, what shouldn't happen. I don't care about these fluctuations because I'm not thinking about what I could have spent that money on. So I understand what money is, I understand what it's for, but I'm indifferent to it. Now, money. 1969. Every year since 1969, we've created more and more money. More and more money. Anytime we run out of money, we'll simply tap some digit into a computer and print some more money. So money isn't the problem, is it? Surely you can all see that. Surely you can look at that graph and see that there's more than enough money in the world. So your issue isn't money. So be indifferent to the number. Your issue is you have a knowledge gap about how to get money. So money isn't the problem. You have a knowledge problem. So, just to recap, what is money? Money is a technology that solves a problem. What problem does it solve? It solves the problem of the double coincidence of wants. And the paradox is you have to be indifferent to it. And that's a challenge because if you constantly impute onto these numbers things that you can buy with those numbers, you're always going to be emotionally challenged. You know, if I thought like that, I would think, oh, I've lost. Somebody would think I've lost 2 months' rent today. That's a recipe for disaster when you're trading. So these numbers are here for you guys. I don't look at them. I'm not interested. I'm only interested in what these charts are saying to me. So let's quickly go through. So the first thing to note is that FLTA issued an RNS today. They've bought out one of the franchises that they were partnered in Germany, which is, I think, probably a good move. The market seems to agree. Not a lot going on today. It's a very weak market at the moment, predominantly because the US came in yesterday, but the US is now open, and it looks like it's going to fill this gap in. See this gap down? Looks like we're going to move into this area and fill this gap. I put this line in to show you that as I'm looking for this market to retrace into this box. Not saying it will, but it wouldn't be unusual if it did. So I'm looking to trade it. So I'll leave that up. Let's just see if it trades. It could just carry on going up, but if it moved back into this area, completely normal. UK has moved back into an area that I'd expect. So anywhere in this area, completely normal. So let's see what happens. It could quite easily just come back into this area as well. So what I'm trying to say is, worrying about this number is irrelevant. What matters is price action.